Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, one and all. Great to have you along for the first show of 2024. Happy New Year! And this is episode number 211, a number associated with the Helpline Center. For us, it's always a way to help you learn more about arts and entertainment. We start off the new year with two new sponsors, Chasers Food and Spirits, where the ruggedly handsome trivia host will be back on Monday nights starting January 8th with shiny and new trivia. And Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts on the second floor of the historic Shriver Square building. Already have a new piece of art in the Holly House from Serendipity owner Jason Fitzer. Meanwhile, today we talk with now playwright Leigh Spencer about her play Comfortably Single, coming up in February at the Orpheum, produced by the Premier Playhouse. Later in the show, comics Luke Johnson and Nathan Hults return to the show to talk about SnoJam Comedy Festival coming up later this month. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. Whatever you're drinking it out of, might very well be determined by where and when you're listening. My choice, a Jasper Newton, Jack Daniels, Diet Coke with lime. For you, whether it's a cup of coffee, a glass of milk, mug of beer, a cocktail, glass of wine, a flute of champagne, just a bottle of water, lift it high and toast to goals. Yeah, that's right, goals. I am not a fan of resolutions. I always set goals for the year, and at different levels, from sensible to outrageous. Then at the end of the year, I can look back to see how I fared. That way I avoid the pitfall of being only 10 days into a new year and being upset with myself that I've already broken my resolution. So here's to goals. Cheers. Speaking of cheers, if you were a fan of the old sitcom Cheers, then you're going to love Chasers Food and Beverage, West 12th and Ellis Road. The friendly staff will get to know you by name and provide you with great food and drink and lots of smiles. Monday night is Dave Holly Hour Trivia Night at Chasers, starting at 7. This coming Monday's trivia theme, shiny and new. Honorable mention. What over the past week made Dave laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, giggle, smile, or maybe even shed a tear of joy? Well, with taking last week off, that means it might have something to do over the past 2 weeks, which is the case, as the Washington Pavilion had another live and local series recently. It was outstanding. Singer-songwriter Janice Gilbert, who was recently on the show, did an incredible job, while vocalist Andrea Ross and her cellist husband Robbie Earhart were spectacular. Hoping to get them on the show sometime, but they've got a busy schedule. All right, coming up later in the show, we hear from comics Luke Johnson and Nathan Hults. Coming up next, playwright Leigh Spencer on the Dave Holly Hour. Calling all art enthusiasts and culture connoisseurs. Get ready for a feast for the eye at Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, your newest go-to destination for contemporary art in Sioux Falls. Immerse yourself in a world of creativity and expression as Serendipity Studio proudly presents its latest exhibition titled New, showcasing a diverse array of local talent. From colorful paintings, handcrafted wood and ceramics, to memory-evoking photography, this is your chance to experience the heartbeat of the local art scene. Join us January 5th, 5 to 8 p.m. at Serendipity Studio in downtown Sioux Falls, where passion meets canvas and imagination knows no bounds. Meet the brilliant artists behind the masterpieces and discover the stories that inspired their new work. Be part of the vibrant art community in Sioux Falls and support local artists who are pushing boundaries and redefining the creative landscape. Whether you're a seasoned art enthusiast or just starting your art journey, there's something for everyone at Serendipity Studio. Mark your calendars, spread the word, and make plans to visit Serendipity Studio for an unforgettable artistic experience. The exhibition runs from January 6th to January 27th, so don't miss out on the chance to be captivated by the power of local creativity. Serendipity Studio, where art comes alive. See you there. Located on the second floor of the historic Shriver Building on Phillips Avenue.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics inside Oscar's Mini Storage. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes, special open studio nights, and completed ready-to-purchase items. Bisque studio time or painting parties are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in person today or email tjsceramics@gmail.com for more details.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
The Dave Holly Hour, like eavesdropping on a great conversation between two very interesting people.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, yes, you know what I'm going to say right off the bat, don't you? That it is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment, and always a pleasure to have a first-time guest on the show. Leigh Spencer, how are you?
I'm very excited to be here, Dave. Thanks
Glad
for the invite.
Glad to have you. Yes, great to have you here, in fact. And I didn't know how to introduce you. It's like, okay, do we go with, actor? Do we go with choreographer? Do we go with a director? But I do know the one thing that you've added to the list, no matter what,
Yes.
is playwright.
Correct.
Yes.
Brand new at that.
Really?
So, yes.
Yeah, so, all right. So let's keep people informed first, get them how set this up, that you are going to be part of this year's premieres.
Correct. With my play, Comfortably Single.
Yes. And that's so the second year in a row that they're doing this. Mm-hmm. And yours was one of the two chosen to be produced as a full production through the Premier Playhouse.
Correct.
And so was that the first attempt at writing that you'd done for a play?
For a play, yes. So I've written a lot of novels. I've written fiction for over a decade, nothing published yet. And last year I saw the premieres and I went, I think I can do that. And so it's actually, I started writing it after the premieres last year.
Wonderful. All right. So you saw that opportunity, you took advantage of it.
Yep.
And it's come to fruition. Were you excited, first of all, to get into the finals?
Yeah. So when I submitted, so it is a 3-step process, if you're not familiar. All the playwrights submitted plays at the beginning of the summer. And then from there, 5 were chosen for the Festival of New Plays. And to be very honest with you, that was my goal. My only goal was to get to the Festival of New Plays.
Oh, why not the Big Kahuna?
Yeah. Well, it was the very first time I'd written a play. So I set my sights, I figured Festival of New Plays, that's one of 5. That's pretty awesome. That would be a
True.
cool experience. And that day was a phenomenal experience. I had so much fun with the Festival of New Plays. And then, a few days later, I got the email that it got picked, and I was just through the roof. I was so excited.
Ecstatic. Do you know, will you be the first out of the 2
I don't know that
in the presentation of them?
I don't know that that's finalized yet.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I think the last time I talked to Oliver Mays about it, he said that he kind of waits till we're in rehearsal to get a feel for
get a
what
feel
makes
for-
sense
okay.
first and what makes sense second.
Understandable.
Yeah.
All right, well, tell us about your play then.
Okay.
Comfortably Single.
Comfortably Single. So it is a play on a rom-com. So there's lots of pieces of it that will feel familiar to people who love the genre, right? We've got all the expected tropes. We have the setup, the blind date setup that the 2 main characters are not real thrilled about. We have, the silly meet cute at the beginning. And then the sort of classic save the event setup, right? Where they have to work together to save an event. But it's a little different too. It's going to keep that a little bit of a twist, a little surprise. So it won't feel quite the same as a normal rom-com at the end. It's not a sad ending. That's the thing everyone keeps asking me. It's not a sad ending, but it is not quite
Typical.
what you expect.
Okay. All right. What made you think of this?
Well,
Had you written something similar prior?
I had. So every year I participate in something called National Novel Writing Month. It's in the month of November, and the goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. I've done it 10 times. I've succeeded 9. And one year, 2020 actually, I wrote a really, really terrible romance novel. Like, so bad no one was ever going to read it, right? It's terrible. But then when I started thinking about a play and what would be interesting and what would be fun and kind of funny and lighthearted, I went back to that story and those characters and felt like there was something there.
Right.
Now, that one was a little more typical than what the play turned out to be, but still different. It had a very weird ending. The characters were just very comfortable being who they were. And so that kind of came through into the play. And so that's what it came from. And there's what we call a name drop twice in the play. They'll say Comfortably Single, but there's also a name drop of the original bad novel as well.
I can't wait to hear that then. All right. So you get picked. You're in the finals. And when you got that, then it was going to be, well, I'll find out who's going to be directing it.
Yes.
And then I'm also going to have to sit there and be like, what's your role at this point? Consultant?
Oh, there you go. That's a good question. So, throughout this process, it's actually been an evolving process. So from Festival of New Plays, I got feedback from the adjudicators, which was lovely. They gave wonderful feedback, and I made a lot of edits after the adjudicators' comments, which at our first cast read through, they worked, which made me really happy. And then we actually did a really cool feedback process at the first cast read through as well, which was a really structured feedback process. I made a few more small edits, but now we're at the point where my draft is the rehearsal. It's the rehearsal version. It's the performance version. So I got to help with auditions. And again, more in an advisory capacity. The ultimate decision came down to my director. I'm very happy with my cast, so that worked out really well. And then at this point, yes, it's just answering questions from the cast. It's giving advice. It will be up to my director, Kevin Wintering, to give me feedback on when he wants me at rehearsal, what kind of input he wants as at this point, I'm kind of turning it over to Kevin and the cast to bring it to life.
Okay. But obviously that's going to be unique because you said, you had to go through the editing process, et cetera. What's it going to be like having written that, though, and then when it's produced, you go, I didn't realize this was part of what I had written.
Yeah.
Do you go... When you see people present it, because everybody, they want to develop a character in their own terms and so forth, or within the director's realm. But there's also that what were you thinking when you wrote that character
Right.
versus how does that character come out?
Right. Yeah, there's so far, when I've met with Kevin and talked through it, we're very much on the same page with where the characters are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first cast read through and even at auditions, a lot of what came out felt natural with what I had written. I did one of the edits. I did go back. There was one spot where it wasn't really clear how the actor was supposed to take a line or present a line. So I did go back and add a little bit of clarifying just to make sure that the line is done annoyed, right? There's lots of ways you could do it. I want it to be annoyed because it sets up conversation. But other than that, at this point, I feel like it's going in the direction that I wrote it. And there are definitely things I'm discovering as we're doing this process.
Right.
Some of the feedback I'm getting, there are more universal stories or things that are familiar for people in this than I had started out with. We did a really cool, the feedback process we did where it was very guided feedback, and the cast had to ask permission before they could share an opinion, even a positive one. That was really new and different and cool. But that process, there were a couple people that said things that had resonated with them in the play, that they had recognized or felt familiar to them, that I had not set out to do that. I was very happy to find that there, but that wasn't something that I intentionally set out to do.
Okay. This whole thing, I know that Oliver likes to refer to them as a play development.
Yes.
And so forth. And I love that term because it's so great what takes place. We'll do a little recap here quickly of how this process takes place. You already talked about from the playwright's point, but then when you are chosen, after they've just read them, and they make the determination on that 5, you are then, you have to find the people that you want to read.
Yes.
And then you get one rehearsal.
Correct.
and then for those that haven't attended this over 2 years now, go next year. It's quite the wonderful thing to see because it's these 5 plays and they're read.
Yes.
You can stand up to read your part, but that's about it. There's no blocking. There's no sound effects. There's no props,
or
scenes,
costumes. Even have to dress in neutrals.
Yes. Yeah. And so that I think is just such a great thing because to me, then it's your play.
Yes.
You know, you were chosen for the merit of what you made.
Right.
Yeah.
So my experience with that, I had actually gotten a group of friends when I first started working on the play. I got a group of friends together and did a table read. It was the first time I'd heard it out loud. I got an hour's worth of feedback from them.
Wow.
We sat and discussed and got all this feedback. I added 20 additional pages to the script from the edits from that before I even submitted it. And then with rehearsal, right, I got picked. So I got a group of friends together, actors. It was kind of a scramble because it was also during Little Mermaid rehearsal.
That's
so
right.
Trying to find a time when everybody could get together. So we did our rehearsal and I acted as director and I gave feedback and coached on some of the lines. Festival of New Plays. I specifically didn't have the script in front of me. It was the first time I had heard it without following along. Yeah. And it was so cool. It was very awesome. I just sat there and I just enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to that once we get into rehearsals and once it's actually produced. But that was the very first time that I had heard it without trying to make notes or follow along. And then the adjudicators gave great feedback and I was there for the whole day. I watched all 5 of the plays. I listened to all the feedback. I had lots of people come up to me because mine was very first. It was very early in the morning. I had the smallest audience, and I had lots of people come up to me and either compliment the play or say, "I heard yours was awesome. I'm so sad I missed it." So it was a very cool day.
Yeah, great feeling on that. I'm sure. Yeah. You know that you had alluded to something about that one thing, a particular line that you have needs to be said. Annoyed.
Yes.
I've always thought that it's like, you know, if I ever write a play and there's like one line or something that I'm going to have as a note that must be said this way. Do not edit. Did you think of things like that too? Or?
Not exactly. I did. So there was one piece of adjudicator feedback that I got, which was that I had too many stage directions and too much guidance for the actors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through when I did the edits and I looked and said, okay, is this important? Is it super important that this is read a certain way? Is it super important? Do I need to be very clear in the instructions? Or is it understandable from context? Will a reasonable person figure out how this is supposed to be read from the way that it's responded to and that kind of thing? And I took out, oh my goodness, probably 4 pages worth of script by removing all of the extra guidance that I had put in there that wasn't necessary.
So you took that out, but you added.
But I added in, and actually the script stayed the same length.
Wow.
Once I added back in all the new stuff I added from the adjudicators' comments as well.
Oh, what made you decide to, write in the first place with the novels that you've been
oh my goodness
working on for 10 years and so forth?
So let's see. When I very first lived on my own, because all through college I had roommates. The very first time I lived on my own, I couldn't get to sleep. And so the way I got my brain to stop running around on a hamster wheel and being anxious about living by myself for the first time was to start building characters. I started creating characters in my head. And then from there, when I went back and worked on my master's degree and learned how to write, I was taking a class on writing that was related to my master's. I got inspired to start working on a book. Believe it or not, the very first novel that I wrote while I was working full-time and taking 2 classes for my master's degree. And because that wasn't enough to do, I wrote a novel at the same time. I didn't know about National Novel Writing Month. That was just the very first time that I ever wrote anything. And it became something that I'm very passionate about. So when I'm done with something, when I'm done working on a book, or when the play is at the point where I don't have to work on it anymore, my brain automatically looks at what's the next story, what's the next group of characters I'm creating.
All right. So your play, Comfortably Single, is coming up in February as part of the premieres.
Yes.
It's the weekend of Valentine's Day, but it's going to be a Thursday night, a Friday night, Saturday night, and a Sunday matinee.
Correct.
Yes. And rehearsals start this Sunday.
Rehearsals start, yes. So the 2 plays are rehearsing separately. So Hearing, which is the other play, is rehearsing on Sunday, and our first rehearsal will be Monday.
Okay. So you got the Monday, Tuesday, and
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little inside bit because I needed to know for sure. Because I'm in that other play that'll be Sunday and Wednesday rehearsals then.
There you go.
Yeah, and looking forward to that. And it's just such a great thing to see local people writing and having the opportunity for that to become a production.
Yes.
And technically a world premiere.
It is technically a world premiere.
Yeah.
It is, they like to call it local theater by local artists. Every part of the production is local, from writing through all the pieces of it.
The whole works. There's no doubt about that, but looking forward to that. So what else have you been doing then
oh my goodness.
in the world of the theater?
Well, this has been an interesting season for me because historically, I've performed lots in Sioux Falls, primarily with the Premier Playhouse. I have done one show at the Mighty Corson Art Players as well. My usual role is dancing in the ensemble and moving furniture. So that's my typical role. I've had one role with lines, which was back in 2021. I was Mickey the cop in the female version of The Odd Couple.
Recall that. Yeah.
Yes. It was 2 casts.
Yes.
So I was.
You had the masks and everything.
Yeah, masks and all of it.
Yeah,
it was interesting. First time I had lines in a show since high school. So that was interesting. But this season, I actually have been involved more offstage. Besides being the playwright for this one, I was actually the choreographer for The Little Mermaid. I did a lot of choreography for a dance company when I was in college.
Okay.
But I hadn't done any choreography since. So it was really cool that they were willing to take a chance on me and give me a shot,
Yeah.
and it was really fun.
And what a great production, too.
Thanks. It was amazing. I had a good assistant choreographer, some great directors. So we had a really strong rehearsal team, and just a fabulous cast. We had a spectacular cast, and they worked their butts off. So lots of credit to them.
I'm curious about one thing, though,
Okay.
because there's a lot of costumes in that
Yes.
that I wouldn't think lend themselves to dance.
I think you're thinking of Mermaid Tales.
Yes.
I was very intentional. Believe it or not, the very first number that I choreographed was the Daughters of Triton number that the Mer sisters sing. And I was really very intentional with how I wanted them to move. Used some techniques where they took very, very tiny steps so that it looked like they were swimming, and focused a lot on upper body and arms and hands. And then She's in Love, which was one of my 2 favorite numbers in that show. We used a lot of like hip swishes and stuff that made the skirts do fun things. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge to think about choreographing without legs, basically.
So what's next after all of this?
I'm not sure. As we get into the spring season, it's very busy for me for work. So
Okay.
I tend to do a lot more theater fall and winter. And then I have to kind of shift gears and focus on work stuff in the spring.
Yeah, understandable. So what got you into acting?
Believe it or not, my mom actually started that when we were really little. So I have one younger sister. And when we were first born, when we were little, my mom was terrified of public speaking, but was in a job where she had to be. And so she determined that her daughters were not going to be afraid of public speaking. And so she put us in theater and speech and
oral interp,
singing and all of that from when we were real little. There's actually pictures of me when I'm like 5 or 6, and I had memorized 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I recited it before church. Yeah. I'm an auditory learner, so if I hear it over and over again, I will memorize it. And so that was her goal, was to get us so we were comfortable and we weren't afraid of it. And she ended up creating 2 theater children. My sister actually double majored in musical theater and dance in college. I did animals because that's what my focus is, but I've always been in front of people talking about things. I routinely present to audiences of a couple hundred people at work.
Wow.
She succeeded in her goal, and that was where theater came from for me.
Did that also help then throughout life in terms of stage fright? Anything along that line? It's like, I can do this, I can do this.
Yes, I do. I do still get nervous, especially when it's something new, or if it's new content for work, or if it's opening night of something where especially if I have lines. I do get nervous. I do still have that, but it's not stage fright. It's just good nerves.
Yeah.
I did have to take a little hiatus. So I did a lot of theater in high school. I did dance in college. And then I lived in Texas for about 10 years and didn't have any opportunities. So it wasn't until I was in Sioux Falls and got back into the theater community. My very first show back when it was Sioux Empire Community Theater was Mary Poppins. They needed tap dancers, and so they were willing to take a chance on me, and that was my foot in the door.
Yeah, and did I see that is one of the classes they're now offering at TPP is a beginning tap?
Yeah, they're doing a 1-day tap workshop at the end of January, which looks like it'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, incredible what what's going on there, and everything, like you said, with the local play, local production, everything, smack dab down to the tiniest thing is done locally for the premieres, and we're looking very much forward to that. All right, so you also do music then?
I'm an okay singer.
Okay.
But I'm really more of an ensemble singer. So I am more a dancer who can sing rather than a singer who can dance. So I usually get cast when they need dancers. In fact, I was in one show, The Great Gatsby, where we had an ensemble that was specifically to be the crowd scenes, right? We were a human set, basically. And then we danced we did 2 dance numbers, one at the beginning of each act. And when I went into auditions, we had to do a little dance combo and then read And when I went in to read, I went, I'm really just here to dance for you, but I'll read this if you need me to. Because I really was just there to dance. So
Favorite dancer of all time?
Oh, that is a really hard question. Favorite dancer? I'm going to go with Tommy Tune.
Oh, okay.
Really good tap dancer.
See, I'm Sid Charisse.
That was a good choice.
Yeah, always loved her. And Vera Ellen, close second. Of course, that's because we just watched, White Christmas about 1,000 times in the past few days.
Right. That doesn't hurt.
Exactly. All right. So when you are not part of arts and entertainment,
yes,
what do you like to be entertained by?
I am an outdoors girl.
Oh.
So
okay.
while I do enjoy, I read a lot.
Okay.
I watch Netflix and movies like anybody else. And I love to go to the theater because being involved with theater, it's nice to go watch the theater as well. But I do spend a lot of time outside. So New Year's Eve, New Year's Day is a really good example. I volunteered down at Old Town Dinner Theater as a server, went to a party with friends. And then on New Year's Day, I went out and went hiking for about an hour because I always like to start the new year with a hike outside.
Where'd you go to hike then?
Lake Vermilion State Recreation Area.
Oh, nice.
They just redid their hiking trails this year and they added another loop. So it was nice to get out there.
Okay. All right. So reading, binge watching, going to theater, and hiking and outdoor stuff.
Yes.
Any other hobbies?
Birding.
Birding?
Birding. I am a huge bird nerd.
Oh, my. Oh, hang on. This is what I got in my stocking.
Oh, very nice. It's a nice bird call. I like it.
Yeah. Well, we sit outside
yeah.
quite a bit during the summer. It's like, oh, what about that? Now I'm going to call them in and find out.
There you go. Yes, I am a birder. I have a bird nerd sticker on my car, and I am always looking for. I'm what's called a list birder, which means that I'm always looking for something I haven't seen before.
Okay.
And so I have a list of 882 birds right now, mostly that I've seen in the U.S., although I have been to Panama for birding as well. And I am going to be going this year to Australia for 10 days of guided birding.
Wow.
Which hopefully will get me up over 1,000 birds, which is my goal.
Yeah.
So
what's the most elusive one, do you think?
Well, the one that is a big debate right now and has been for probably 15 years is ivory-billed woodpecker. Is it still around? Is it extinct?
Or do we need to
We don't
put it
really
on the list?
know.
Right.
Yeah. So it's that's one I've pretty much resigned myself that I'm not going to see, because you basically have to go sit in a canoe in the swamps of Arkansas all day, every day for like the whole winter to even get a chance. Not my thing. Not my thing. So my favorite bird is called the acorn woodpecker.
Okay.
It is native to the mid-altitude range of the Rockies, so California, but it's more southern. So California, Texas, Arizona, and they live in little family groups, and they make a cache tree where they store acorns. So they'll drill holes and then fill them all with acorns, and they shift them around as they dry, and they eat the acorns, but also the bugs that are attracted to them. And they have a really cute little face that looks like a little clown, and they make little squeaky noises, and I just absolutely love acorn woodpeckers. I don't know why they're my favorite. I had a little kid ask me once what my favorite animal was, and I told him I didn't really have a favorite animal because I love them all. Yeah. And so he went, okay, do you have a favorite group of animals? I said, well, yeah, I really like birds. Okay, well then do you have a favorite group of birds? I really like woodpeckers. Do you have a favorite woodpecker? I really like the acorn woodpecker. He goes, well, then that's your favorite animal. And impeccable logic.
Okay,
so I have said that ever since.
What is the most common woodpecker that we all see around here?
Probably either the downy woodpecker, which is a little guy, or the red-bellied woodpecker.
Red-bellied.
He's got what looks like a red mohawk.
Right.
Not a red-headed, because red-headed has a whole solid red head. Yeah.
Okay.
But a little red mohawk. He's a red-bellied, and those are the two that are probably the most common around here.
Well, you're going to have to come around during the summer and sit in the backyard with us and
tell you what all the birds are,
what we're hearing, where we should be looking, everything else.
Absolutely. I love to do that.
Yeah. In the meantime, we are looking forward to seeing the premieres coming up in February. Again, rehearsals are starting this next week.
Yep.
Whew.
Tickets are available too.
Oh, yeah.
And just as a reminder, you want to make sure you're getting your tickets through either the Premier Playhouse or Washington Pavilion, because apparently our community now has ticket scammers. So don't buy your tickets from anybody but TPP
lovely.
or Washington Pavilion.
Yeah, and this will be at the Orpheum this year.
It will be at the Orpheum this year, yes.
Fantastic. Leigh Spencer, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. This was really fun.
My pleasure. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffat Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics, inside Oscar's Mini Storage. Bisque, studio time, painting parties, and finished items are available. Visit TJS Ceramic Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Funny, engaging, connected. He's the entertainment reporter for Sioux Falls. Here's Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Yes, it is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire, arts and entertainment. It's always a pleasure to talk comedy, and it's always a pleasure to have some great fellas back to the studio. Actually, I think studio-wise, being here, it's your first time.
First time, yeah.
Yeah, but I've had you on a few times before.
First time in person.
Yes.
This is the first time I'm seeing your sweet face in the glow of studio lighting.
Yes, in the Dipsy Doodle production studio.
Ooh.
Yes. Luke Johnson, Nathan Hults. How are you guys?
So swell.
Doing fine. How
Excellent.
Are you?
If I were any better, I'd be twins.
Oh.
Yeah. Then I could produce another podcast.
That is a saying I've never heard. Oh, we need to spend more time with you.
Yes, we do.
I think you can turn a phrase like someone turns a key, you know?
I like that.
Yeah,
you can
well
turn
played.
a phrase like someone turns a key.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not a turnkey business. It's a turn phrase business.
Turn phrase business.
Turn phrase. That's what we're here to talk about.
If
the
I'm
phrases
doing comedy,
you guys
it's a
come
turn
up with.
phrase.
Oh, wow.
Jokes.
Right off the bat. Although hitting one with a bat depends on the consistency of that turd.
Yeah,
then.
no Gallagher in this one.
Yeah.
No.
All right, SnoJam is coming up this month.
Yeah.
And it's like SnoJam is coming up this month because it's the last one.
It's the last one.
Oh, so take advantage of it, everybody.
Last
Get
Dance. Out. They're going to make a 8-piece ESPN documentary about this one called Don't Save the Last Dance.
So it doesn't have to be for me then.
Yeah.
Don't save the last dance for me, huh?
Yeah.
No. Go dance with one of these guys. All right.
We're very excited for it to be we're not excited that it's our last year. We're very excited for SnoJam. We're excited since it is our last year, we're trying to go as big as we can.
Mm-hmm.
We've got absolute favorites coming back. Sean Jordan, Sioux Falls Prince of Comedy, is coming back. And then Timmy Williams, who was one of the original founders of SnoJam, is also in Whitest Kids You Know, and they've got a movie coming out. I don't think I'm supposed to say that.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, so we've got such an amazing year planned. And so we're excited to have the final year. And we were excited we got to go out on our terms before, they told us to not come back.
True. Now, you guys have been on board basically since the beginning.
I came on in the second year. But Nate is one of the founders.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So what is it like to put a festival on, a comedy festival? Because everybody goes, oh, comedy festival, man, that's got to be cool. But how much behind the scenes are you also going, oh, who else can we get? How are we going to make this decision?
Yeah. Well, anytime you work with a committee, it's tough, right? If there's, we've kind of always operated when no one's in charge, but we're all in charge, kind of mentality. So getting stuff done and wrangling people is, I would say, the toughest.
Yeah.
tough, like wrangling ourselves is what I mean.
Oh, true.
Not like
getting talent to come in.
Yeah, the comedians are not the problem. It's the
management.
Yeah, it's managing the management is probably the hardest part. But Dan Bublitz Jr. Has had festival experience before. I had not, and so when we started this thing, we really leaned on him to his knowledge, and he's really meticulous with paperwork, and the organizing of the actual event, which is nice. And so I a little bit more than a grunt work, but we do some of the more grunt stuff, a little bit more of the handshaking and stuff like that. So it's nice to have a group like we've had for the last years, just kind of have their own specialty and stuff like that. So
who all is coming this year? What names are we going to hear besides what you've already mentioned? And then tell us about the local versus national and what this draws.
Well, we've got a few of our local favorites. I believe all of whom have been on the festival before. We have Zach Dresch, of course. We love him. Jerry Irby.
Yeah.
Ian McLean and Kerner. 4 great local comics who have all done the festival before. Really glad to have them back. And then for the returning comics, we've got, the traveling comics, we've got a few who have been in the festival before, like Jenny Lee Rusi.
Oh,
and
she's a lot of fun.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's 30 comics.
Wow.
I mean, so we got 30 comics, 4 days, 2 different venues. So it's remembering all of them is not within. It is way too early in the morning.
This is true
for me to recall, but I can tell you that every one of them was selected. So we had over 200 applicants.
Wow.
Right? So over 200 videos that were submitted, and these were cut down and filed down and then filed down again. There were so many super funny people that weren't even available. I say this every year, but I don't think I would have got into this festival this year. Like, truly, this is such an incredible lineup.
Yeah. I cannot say enough good things about the comedians we've got coming in. They are very funny. They are very professional. These shows are going to be fantastic.
All right, so let's give the dates, the places, etc., how to get tickets.
SnoJamComedyFest.com has all of the information, and that's snow without the W.
Right.
This isn't a competition, so no one gets the W.
That's right. We're all losers here.
Yeah.
January 18th through the 21st?
Yep, January 18th through the 21st. The shows are going to be held at Remedy at 611 or Club 224 in the basement at Lucky's.
Okay.
I believe we alternate venues on each day.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Well, it's one venue a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you don't have to
you don't have to drive from place to place.
You don't have to get drunk at Lucky's and drunk drive over to the 611.
Oh, thank God, that's gonna...
You can if you want, but you're going to miss some of the shows. I wouldn't advise it.
We got great sponsors this year. We're very, very helpful. Our sponsors have been super helpful this year, and so we're very excited to make it our best and final one.
Yeah, and fundraising again.
Yep.
And where will it go?
To the Dakota Academy of Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Just a wonderful, which you have experience with.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just a wonderful, wonderful organization in Sioux Falls that helps kids develop their love for the performing arts.
Yeah, and I always remember the first time that I ever met Sarah Crosby. I was working at Kello AM at the time when she had first moved to town to talk about DAPA, and she had started DAPA, and she told me, she says, the kids in Sioux Falls are just as talented as kids in New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. They just haven't had the opportunities.
Yeah.
And boy, over the past 20 plus years, the opportunities that have grown here. Would you have thought you'd be doing so much comedy here locally when you first, were thinking of being a comedian?
No. I mean, when I started, we had Fat Daddies, and they did one open mic a month. So one time a month, you could come to the comedy club and try out for a host spot. And that's what it was. It wasn't an open mic. It wasn't like you could work out new material. You have to bring your best so you
could get that job.
Work that job. And so we had one other open mic, and it was a mixed open mic at Booney's Bar and Grill.
Oh yeah,
over by the Pentagon.
Yeah,
or no, the
Denny Sanford.
Denny.
Yeah,
and that one was such a fun, odd experience. They let us really play, but it was a mixed up, so you couldn't get like, it wasn't a comedy open mic. It wasn't set up for comedy. It was in a bar that had a wing special. So that's what you're competing with cheap wings next to a place that has even cheaper wings. And so no, I didn't expect. We have so much comedy going on.
It's amazing right now
in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, it's been a good boom for that, no doubt. Luke, what about you when you first were getting into comedy? And did you think that you would be one of our producers of comedy festival?
Not. But like I didn't really get involved until 2015 when I moved to Sioux Falls. I tried a few random open mics before that, and like when I started doing the Sioux Falls ones, that's maybe I can like actually start taking this seriously. And at the time it was just a bunch of people hanging out in the side room at Rookies. And then from there, it's grown into, having these clubs and then people starting up their own things. So we have these other side open mics and getting involved with the arts community at large. And it's just been really, really neat to see the scene grow like that.
Yeah. And man, see, Rookies is one I had forgotten about, that, there used to be things out there.
Rookies. Yeah. The Rookies was a wild time. That was a wild time. It was wild stuff. That was right after Fat Daddies, and then after that we actually ran some stuff at the Pavilion. We did comedy at the Pav for a year, and then Wackos started opening up, and then I shut all the comedy at the Pav stuff down. It's like, I don't want to compete. We want a comedy club. And then when they closed, Bosses opened up. So I think we've had a pretty good run of decent, supportively local places.
Right.
Because not a lot of comedians get that. And so I think we're blessed in Sioux Falls for that reason.
Well, the other thing is, it seems like the community of comedians as well is very collaborative. I mean, you've all performed for anybody else's shows that they've been producing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's got to be great in that way, because some of the people that I've talked to that have been in other cities will talk about the fact, no, it's more head-to-head competition there. But this is great that we get to have one more final SnoJam Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not a competition.
Nope.
Will there be any open mics involved in it?
Yes.
There will be. Okay.
Yeah, so if you wanted to try it and you wanted to do it in front of some of the best comedians in the world, I think we're running one at Black Flag Studios on Wednesday.
I believe that is true.
Okay. You're not talking to Dan, who knows the schedule by heart, because he's made it. We're like I said, we're the grunts. But and then also there's going to be a later night open mic. It's not festival related, but there will be one at David's on Thursday night.
Thursday night. Okay. Yeah.
So
because I got to get all this down in the mindset as to where I'm headed.
Oh yeah,
lots of stuff.
If you show up to SnoJam, you'll just kind of know what's going on, because you'll just follow the horde of people. We do sell out most years. So,
yeah, I was going to say it's always been good,
and we've got limited capacity, especially at the Lucky's shows or the Club 224 shows. So make sure you get tickets right away. If you go to SnoJam Comedy Festival stepfest.com, no W in the snow.
Yeah,
you can get tickets. You can get a VIP pass.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go to everything.
Yeah.
Go to everything.
Yeah,
that's
the way I've done it before.
Gets you into the party. We got a party this year, so a catered party.
Oh my!
If you're a
that's
VIP,
a selling point right there.
Yeah,
become a VIP and get yourself in.
Come party with the people that you came to see. You know? It's like a meet and greet.
True, and what's great about that is obviously, and I'm going to ask him again, the question that I always come up for you guys is, what got you into it and follow up and things like that. And it'd be great to hear it, from, some of the traveling comedians that you don't or normally get the chance to see and hear on a regular basis. And, I'll go up to them and say, well, how'd you start?
Yeah.
Where did it happen? Who were your influences?
What's your
forth?
origin story?
Yes, that's right. Origin.
Who had to die for you to be this funny?
Oh, speaking of dying, see, there you go, booblets and bombing. The art of bombing.
The art of bombing, his podcast. It's a wonderful comedy podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
Fantastic to listen to. Now, you've done some podcasting. Where are you at this point in the podcast world, Nate?
In pre-production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pre-production.
Pre-production.
I like that because I did a lot of pre-production too when I started this. But a lot of people just go, oh, hey, look at this. You can get some stuff for $149.
Yeah.
On a podcast. And then they have nothing that they want to do with it. Yeah.
That's what I'm pre-production on a new project, but you can find some of the old stuff like Town Car Podcast, which was a fun podcast with me and another comedian from Sioux Falls, John Michaels. Talked about what made us cry every day.
Yeah. Have you ever cried after doing a set?
Yeah. Yeah.
To the point of tears that you were like, oh my God.
Yeah, I've quit comedy a lot.
Like the old cigarette smokers. It's not tough to quit. I've quit 1,000 times.
Yeah. It was a corporate, and someone was just like, maybe this isn't for you. And I was like, no, it is for me.
Oh my, yeah.
You're not good at audiencing. This is your fault.
Yeah. What's your favorite line for a heckler?
Get out.
Just go.
I try to be funny, accepting, and dismissive. So my favorite line is, hey, could you not be as funny as me? Or funnier than me?
Right.
Is a real simple one.
I loved one of yours one time. I speak drunk.
I speak drunk. Oh yeah. That was at the district, right? Yeah. I don't speak drunk. Yeah. I'm sorry. I have no idea what you said in this giant building.
Luke, what's been your favorite part of being a comic?
Oh man. There's so many things. It's a lot of frustration and disappointment and wondering why you're even doing this until you get a show that goes really well. And then you remember why.
Yeah.
And then just meeting interesting new people and finding people to connect with.
You get that natural high when you get applause. Yeah, that's always been a fun thing.
Yeah.
You remember your first standing ovation?
Have I had one? Not standing. They don't get up for me. Mostly don't get up off the couch for me. But I do remember a show we did in Watertown at Sassy's, where after my first joke, I had to stop and wait for the audience to stop laughing.
Oh.
And that felt really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite part, Nate?
I've been doing this 13 years, and some of the cynicism comes in and stuff like that. But I love the whole experience. I know that's a cop out, but I love studying the act of comedy, right? I've always loved the student aspect of that, where what does this do and how does this work? And not that it's all formulaic, but I love finding those anomalies of this shouldn't work, but it works so well, why does this? And so I've always loved the analytical part of that. But what was the question?
What have you found is the most enjoyable about being a comic?
Being a comic. I think the people you meet, it is nice to bring joy, to someone, when you do I came from theater, and so when you do like a drama or a play or anything like that, you bring joy to someone. This is such an immediate, right? It's like a line to the vein of cathartic laughter right now, and so I think something about, it's like mainlining the best medicine on earth.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part, is bringing joy. I've always loved bringing joy.
What are you looking forward to about the SnoJam this year?
I'm looking forward to the comics that are coming in, because
Mm-hmm.
I got to watch all the videos. I know how good they are. There's some of these people who had applied in years previous and couldn't get in, so I was really excited to see them try again when they've grown just that little bit more and now finally making the cut. That's really exciting for me.
Yeah, it's got to be exciting anytime somebody does that, that they send it in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look at me, I'm in. Yeah. What about you, Nate? What are you looking forward to this particular time?
I'm so excited. I know this is not like going to sell SnoJam for everybody else, but the hang. Oh, the hang. The hang after the show, that is the best time, because you've got the funniest people in the world. I would argue. At least the funniest concentration of people in the world at this month,
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out, shooting the ever-living caca.
Breeze.
Yeah, the breeze.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
breeze.
Thank
or the
you.
bowl.
Yeah, just hanging out with these people that are from all around the country and stuff like that, and just, I don't know, talking smack.
Yeah. What was the decision that this would be the last year?
We're tired, Dave.
Yeah, can imagine. Because typically, one of the questions I would be asking toward the end would be, so, it takes place these dates, and how soon do you start planning for next year? And the typical answer, right away.
Yeah.
Because you sit down and think of the feedback that you've had and start planning what went well, what didn't.
We're scattered.
Yeah.
Dan's in Fort Collins, or
Loveland,
Colorado.
yeah.
And we, we're busy people. I have a 5-year-old now. She's almost as old as the festival.
Yeah.
And so just the time, and our venues are changing. It's getting harder and harder to get the things that we need to survive throughout the year. And so we think we're just tired and ready to.
The venue battle is huge.
Yeah. The venue battle, the sponsors, just everything. There's a lot that goes into it that doesn't seem like it should be a hard or a big deal, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been doing this for 8 years. We've had ups and downs, and I think we're ready to go out with our heads held high.
Yeah.
Without having, any major issues and stuff like that.
Without it being retirement party.
Yeah. Not a celebration.
SnoJam turned 65. You're going to get some Social Security now.
We want we'd rather have a retirement party than a celebration of life.
Exactly.
That's exactly. We don't want to be put down. We want to, go on.
Right.
We want the severance.
How do you guys describe yourselves as comics?
I try not to. I pride myself on bringing a weird energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. No one else is proud of this, but I guess I have to be. It's a lot of family discussion, a lot of self-deprecation, a lot of just frustration with the world at large.
Yeah. And Nate, how about you?
I would say I'm a storyteller.
Okay.
I like to tell stories.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you see, because that brings up the point then that everybody in this community that is involved in comedy has their own style.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have two people doing the same shtick.
Mm-mm.
And that's fantastic. And now we'll get the opportunity to see 30 people doing their own shtick. Yeah. So it'll be great. So again, the dates?
January 18th through the 21st.
Excellent. SnoJam.
4 days.
SnoJam SnoJamFest.com.
SnoJam Comedy Fest.
Comedy Fest. SnoJamComedyFest.com.
If you go to Google,
true, put in
and just
SnoJam.
type in Sioux Falls Comedy Festival,
you'll get it.
If we've done our job well enough, if Dan has done his job,
and you grunts
well enough, we'll be
all right. Well, we're looking forward to it again. Get your tickets there and set some time aside that weekend. Let's see, not really much else going on, so should be a good weekend for that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Luke Johnson and Nathan Hults from SnoJam.
Pleasure to be here.
And always a pleasure to have you on, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
Hot? No. Cute? No. Ruggedly handsome? Yes. Once again, here's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my guests, Leigh Spencer and Luke Johnson and Nathan Hults. As always, the biggest thank you goes to each of you that listen, download, share, and follow. And don't forget to listen next week for more great arts and entertainment conversations. If you haven't so far, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Now, besides information about the show, you'll find out when Dave Holly Hour Trivia is going on at Chasers. For all 211 episodes, go online at davehollyhour.com. By the way, use the search function on our website to look up when your favorite artists have been on before and listen to any of those previous episodes. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.